Hello everyone and welcome to Oblivion Arrives. Today we're going to be talking about Planetside 1 and the upcoming shutdown that is going to remove all the great features and bugs that we've enjoyed over the years from accessibility. On July 1st of 2016, Daybreak is going to be shutting down the server, bringing an end to the first game that allowed 100 on 100 plus combat and the evolution of first-person shooters into the massive scale from being playable. Unfortunately, we're going to lose a lot of great things in Planetside 1 that were never brought into Planetside 2. The tactical depth will be gone. The Terran Republic Marauder, seen here in the background, will probably never see the light of day. And also the Nanite Systems Deliverer here as a common pool item will never see the light of day, most likely, although it was discussed at one point, and so was the Marauder. Weather is also something that is in Planetside 1 that will likely not make it to Planetside 2. These were my screenshots from back in the beta stages of Planetside 1 carrying over into live. As I play games, I typically like to take some screen captures for, memory purposes, historical purposes, that sort of thing. Just things I thought were enjoyable. And I figured I would share them as we progressed from the days of the early first-person shooter into the nowadays current first-person shooter that has replaced a lot of long travel times and difficult accessibility to fights to the instant action that we now enjoy. Planetside 1 had a lot of things that are going to be gone in Planetside 2, such as the advanced mobile station here, which was replaced later by the Sunderer, and the cloak bottle later added in. It didn't even make launch. Weather here and also waterways were something that Planetside 1 exclusively featured, and it actually added a lot of tactical depth to movement around, considering that everywhere you had to go, you had to drive, and you could only drive in certain suits like the light here that had been driving our vehicle. And accessibility to certain areas usually required bridges unless you were driving a specialized vehicle like the Deliverer here. Base courtyards were also a bit larger in the original one, and it would take quite a while to run through this. And this actually was pretty high graphics. We can see right here, this is a nice sun effect that was done back in the early 2000s. And nowadays this looks like crap, but back then this was extremely graphical. The physics were, generally speaking, they were okay at best, but a lot of that is carried into Planetside 2. And certain things were cut, such as Searhoose here, which we can see us being inside the volcano here, and the lava, which could melt our vehicle. Scissor was also cut. And the bridges here, the weather effects, the waterway, all of this never made it into Planetside 2. We'll never see that continent again. And certain scalability things were a lot smaller looking back then, but still had a big presence, like we were teetering on the edge of a cliff here, and that probably was our death. This tank also shelling from the distance here, that's about a 10-minute run, or at least a couple-minute drive to even get that far to get to that tank, where instant action would be preferable nowadays. You could also drown, which we ejected Techno to do when he was mouthing off. And roadkills were a primary way for the drivers to run people down because they required gunners in order to even operate the weapon systems of the vehicles they were in. As we pinned somebody up against a tree there, and we see right here my gunner, actually I was probably one of the ones on the gun here, was firing at a remote target while the driver was concentrating on driving. And you can see here the entry points on the vehicles, the trunk being accessible in the back, which we were reloading at the time, and all the bullets from armor-piercing rounds that went in. Vehicle hacking was also something that never quite made it to Planetside 2, and here we see a hacked new conglomerate Vanguard that was obtained by an advanced hacker on an abandoned vehicle, and after that was done, we had to have a main battle tank certified driver get in and drive this, and we had limited ammunition with the 150mm cannon because the Terran Republic did not have 150mm cannon shells. We could replace the 20mm chain gun rounds, but we could not resupply this vehicle. It was a limited time thing. So that's gone. Also, towers. This is the inside of a tower spawn room, and the lockers in the background, as well as the spawn tubes that were destroyable, are no longer really a thing. We also had some boredom moments, obviously, when waiting around, so we just decided to drive a Marauder off a cliff. Now, the heart was something else that never quite made it into Planetside 2. That's the high-altitude reentry transport. And here's me being the rocket man waiting on the timer on the right, which was 10-minute countdown. Stealth game, once again, completely lacking from Planetside 2. This is another hacked mag rider that our stealther who could hack it while being stealth was doing. Weapon looting was also a thing. As you see, I have a pair of jackhammers on my back here, hailed as the most effective heavy assault weapon in the first game. The Lightning also went through some early iterations, which I did drive it for, and it was really rough. It did not have a turret and had a 30-degree firing arc. And of course, transportation was still a major problem, and this is us getting abandoned because our transport got destroyed and us having to run it in. During times of downtime, we also did crazy things like line up a bunch of boomers on ourselves, which are, again, lacking from Planetside 2, and blow the shit out of ourselves. But overall, Planetside 1 was a great game. It's a shame they're shutting it down, but as it draws to a close, all we have left is really memories, and we won't see that type of title ever again because it took so much development work. Farewell, Planetside 1. You'll be missed.